to Kirsty TV. My guest today, Petra Hensley, is an amazing woman who suffered unimaginable cruelty when at the tender age of 16 was kidnapped at a train station and forced into the vile underworld that is the sex trade industry. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me, Kirsty.
So tell me about the day that it happened, that you were kidnapped. Was it like any other day?
It was like any other day. One of my girlfriends from my college, her parents had a cabin up in a mountain. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we would go there for a weekend and just have fun as friends. So she invited me.
And you were 16 at the time?
I was 16, yes.
Beautiful young girl.
I was just trying to walk, from the bus station towards the train station. I was just grabbed from behind by a few men and I was dragged, and next time I know I just passed out and woke up in a car, mm-hmm. on the floor of the car, and I was tied up. First
so you're
instinct,
coming to and
I
you
just
don't know where
came
you are.
basically from like what just happened. I was disoriented, I was tired, I have no idea where I am. I didn't know what was happening to me. And I was trying to scream for help. They just beat me even that much more because they said, don't scream, there is no help for you. You just, no matter how much you scream, it doesn't matter.
Mm. Could you see other cars going past or?
No, I was pretty much down on the floor.
Yeah.
And because they didn't want me to probably know where are they taking me.
Yeah.
Next time I know, they get me out of the car and throw me straight through. It was abandoned apartment. It was post-communist beat up apartments, and they throw me in one room where I was alone, and there was only filthy mattress on the floor. They stripped me naked and tied me to the wall. And I was just, at that point, I knew that basically I'm in more than a trouble. I was raped first by the men who kidnapped me, and then after a few hours they started to bring in customers because there were men coming in that room, and they all had sexual acts with me.
How did your mind even wrap itself around what was happening?
You just really. It's almost like a vision, like it's almost like you are you really don't understand how can somebody do these things to somebody else.
Yes. And were there other girls that this was happening to in this apartment?
One for sure I know of. She was in the next room because I heard her through the wall.
Were you able to talk to each other?
We didn't really communicate because we were afraid if they will hear us, we'll get into trouble. Mm-hmm. But it was more of I heard her going through what she had to do through her, screaming and moaning, and she knew where I was. Mm-hmm. So there was kind of that connection of, I understand what you're going through. I don't know her name. I never find out. I don't know her age. They took her life the third night. They shot her. I heard the shot and I never heard her ever again. At that point, I just said, okay, I'm gonna die here, but I don't want to die like an animal, and I don't want to die sad. So that just the last piece of me, basically said, what can I do for this last minutes of my life? What would make me happy? Because I don't want to go like that. And when I was little, and there is a little song. It's about a bird, and that song I used to sing when I was little, when I was around 4 years old, over and over again. And that song for some reason made me very, really, really happy. And my parents were sick of the song. Because I would take a breath and go over again. And it's kind of interesting because the song is about a bird who's been captured by the family, and they killed the bird, they plucked the bird, and they cooked the bird, and they ate the bird. And I don't know, but the tune to that song was so upbeat, and I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing. And I always made in my mind as a girl, well, no, they didn't kill the bird, and in my mind, I saved the bird. So, when I was lying in that room, having really nothing left, that song just popped in my head. and I started to hum it, and I started to like sing it just under my breath, and I started to feel kind of like I had that 4-year-old girl vision in front of me of being really, really happy. I started to sing that song over and over and over again, and for some reason that song really empowered me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna die here. I'm like, I'm gonna try to do something. I'm like, if I try to run, if they catch me, I'm dead anyway. So I have really nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So I noticed that next to the mattress where I was lying at, there was a window, and it was boarded with just like a plywood, really thin sheet of wood. I kick it out, and I ran. I just grabbed my clothes, I just put it on, and I ran. And then eventually I realized kind of which part of town I'm at. I started to be more oriented. So
You've been close all that time?
I was really close. I was only, let's say, 30 miles away from my house, from my parents' house. So I ran all the way to my parents' house, and I sneaked in, and I went straight to the bathroom. I tried to wash off all of it.
How many days had passed by this point since you'd been kidnapped?
It's been 3 days.
And so it was night time, so your family had thought you'd gone away for the weekend, so they didn't even know.
They had no idea.
And you didn't tell them?
I didn't tell them. I was so afraid that they would come and find me that I didn't tell them.
That the men would come and find you. Was there a period afterwards that you couldn't be around men at all?
There was a period where I didn't want to deal with society, period. I didn't even want to be around women. I felt like I'm walking around outside naked, screaming for help, and people are passing by and nobody can hear you. And that feeling of hopelessness is absolutely the most painful thing I ever experienced.
But there was light at the end of the tunnel for those watching.
There was
yes. Light. You are happily married 7
yes.
years. Yeah.
Yes. But it was. I had to go through the therapy. I really had to commit myself that I am willing to change how I feel about this ordeal.
Yes.
Like I said, you don't forget it.
Yes.
But there is a hope, there is a way when you feel about it differently, and it doesn't hurt anymore.
What would you say to someone who's in this situation that would have shortened that healing process for you?
I think that if I would take back time, if I could, you do go and tell somebody right away.
Yeah.
Because not only they can, either report a case, but it gives you the chance to talk about it, which is on the beginning you feel like you never want to talk about it. But I realized years later how important it is.
So for every one Petra, there's hundreds of others that are in this situation. What is something that you would like to say to those victims who've survived as well? What's one last message that you would share with them?
Don't give up hope. There is people who cares about you. And try not to focus on these people, on those monsters. Focus on those people who are the good people. Focus on your family and focus on yourself and believe in good in yourself, because you are good.
You are good. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. Hug. Thank you, honey. So if you're in a similar situation or you know someone who has been through it, I hope that this has given you some hope and inspiration, and we look forward to seeing you next week on Kirsty TV.